Yes, you are reading that correctly. No, you are not hallucinating, and for that matter, neither am I. You can thank Dalyxman for this. He and I made a little bit of an agreement, not a bet or a wager, because I pretty much knew I was going to come out on the losing end of this anyway, but the agreement was if Daniel Bryan was able to defeat John Cena for the WWE title at SummerSlam, that I would have to come up here and do a review of the most recent episode of TNA Impact. And if John Cena won, I can't even remember now, but I think Dalyxman was going to have to make a video about how great John Cena is or something like that. So I thought it would be fun, and it was going to be a win-win situation because I'd love to see him do that, and I sure as hell wouldn't mind doing a TNA review. That would be something different. And by the way, you can find a link to the little bastard's YouTube channel in the description box. You are about to find out how little I pay attention to TNA's existence because I am completely lost in 99% of what I was fucking watching. Why is this hardcore justice? From what I gather, TNA has cut down their pay-per-views, which I actually think is a smart idea. No need to have 12, and sure as hell no need for a company like that to have 12 anyway. So they've decided to cut down their pay-per-views to only a handful of them, and now they're billing Impact as like TV show pay-per-views, much like WCW used to do with Clash of the Champions and all that. So I don't know how well this is going to work. If you ask me, they should have just kept it Impact because it's confusing for a casual watcher who's tuning in and says, am I watching Impact or am I watching Hardcore Justice? And why a couple weeks ago did it have a different name and what the fuck's going on? People that follow TNA every day, I'm sure don't find this confusing at all, but I do. Now, the last thing I want to do is disappoint all of my fans and followers and stuff, but I'm really not going to rip this show and company apart the way you might think I am. Yes, it is true. I do not like Hulk Hogan. I think he's a fucking idiot. And I don't think Dixie Carter could manage a Wendy's any better than she can manage a wrestling promotion. But really, what the fuck do I have against TNA? I don't give a shit about them. I don't give a shit that they exist. I barely even am aware that they are there. So I'm not going to come up and just constantly bash them all the time and talk shit about them because I don't know enough about them. Part of my biggest problem with TNA crazy fans that hate the WWE so bad is they never shut the fuck up about how bad the WWE sucks and how bad they hate it. Constant complaining and bashing and just trashing the WWE and how much better TNA is and how much more entertained they are by that product. And I say fine with me, but I don't understand why, if you like TNA so much better, why you're spending so much time watching and complaining about the WWE. If TNA is what you prefer, then just watch that shit and shut your fucking mouth. I made my name on these commentaries kind of by talking shit about TNA at first when I first started these because it was really the anger of me not understanding why TNA worked so hard for 10 years to develop their own identity, try to be an alternate wrestling promotion to the WWE, and then in 2010 they bring in Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff and turn their entire company into a miniature WWE. They've got the same type of ring, the same type of stage, the same type of Titantron, and they have dozens upon dozens of people in front and behind the camera that came from WWE that are running this company, and the wrestlers from the WWE are winning their championship belts. So they don't look alternative to me when I turn on a TNA pay-per-view broadcast in 2013 and I see Jeff Hardy versus Bubba Ray Dudley. I'm like, huh, a couple WWE guys wrestling for their world title. How do you like that? And throughout the years, there have been a lot of ex-WWE guys, working in the creative department and producing as well. So to me, I always felt that TNA was hypocritical and completely full of shit when they try to pretend that they are some sort of better product than the WWE. They're not. They're the exact same thing. And they have not even come close to scratching the surface of being a competitor. It's not their fault. The WWE is too big, too bad. They own everything. They have got the market cornered on their pro wrestling business, and there's nothing TNA can do about it. They just don't have the formula. The wrestlers can work as hard as they want. They can have great mic work, great in-ring work. That's not going to matter because the company cannot compete with a monster like the WWE. This is not the mid-1990s, and TNA will never be able to accomplish what WCW was able to accomplish because TNA can't throw a bunch of money at John Cena and Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan and CM Punk and Brock Lesnar to get them to jump ship and come over to TNA. They can't do that. That will never happen. They just don't have the ability to do that. Just like Ted Turner and all his millions of dollars was able to go after WWE guys that were not under contract and had no compete clauses. People could just do whatever they fucking wanted back then. You could literally be on Raw one night and Nitro the next week, and sometimes you could be on Raw and Nitro at the same fucking time, Rick Rude. So those days are over. WCW did nothing creative to win the war. Yes, once they got all these talents, they came up with great ideas like the NWO, and they had a fantastic cruiserweight division that really just kept the ball rolling, and WWE just didn't stand a chance against that. But what got them popular to begin with, and what gave them the exposure that they could bring in cruiserweights and showcase them, on a heavily watched TV program in the United States, was because they initially stole Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, and all those fucking guys from the WWE, and basically just transferred all those fans from one company to the next. And the WWE had to reinvent themselves and reinvent the business, really, with the Attitude Era to be able to compete with that and put WCW away. This is something that TNA is not going to be able to do. And it amazes me how so many fans can do YouTube videos and this and that. TNA is the future. Sooner or later, wrestling fans are going to realize that this is what real wrestling is, and the WWE this and that. They've been saying this shit for years. And TNA still gets the exact same ratings that they have always gotten. This will never change. Whatever their ratings were 3 years ago, they're the same now, and they'll be the same 3 years from now if TNA is still alive by then. And I thought the Titanic theme song was an appropriate opening for this. They get a fraction of the ratings, exposure, merchandise, and pay-per-view sales that the WWE gets. And if you want a nice little alternative wrestling company, something other than a WWE umbrella to watch, then yes, I invite you to watch TNA. It might be perfect for you. But I warn you, when I watch this episode of TNA Impact, all I see is a miniature WWE. And the fact that this show is TV 14. But let me ask you this. How does TNA benefit from being TV 14? I didn't see anything that much greater other than James Storms was drinking a beer in the ring. The girls act a little more sluttier and trashier, and there's a little bit more, language, ass and hell and shit like that. Is that really what you need to be able to enjoy and appreciate pro wrestling for what it is? It goes back to what I've been saying for over 3 years on these commentaries, is that TV 14 has absolutely nothing to do with the decline of the business. The TV PG era that the WWE decided to go with is something they needed to do. For 3 years, I've explained to everybody that you have to be a goddamn dipshit to not be able to see this with your own fucking eyes. Look at what Chris Benoit did. Look at the deaths, the black eyes, the murders, the negative publicity, and the shitstorm that surrounds pro wrestling in general. The WWE did what they needed to do to regain the pro wrestling industry as something that can be looked at as with respect. That's why they go so crazy with the Make-A-Wish. That's why they're trying to gear themselves towards kids, trying to be family friendly, doing a lot of charity work, things in the community. They're trying to let the world know that if your kid wants to be a pro wrestler, that he's not going to turn out, he's not going to wind up face down in a ditch from a drug overdose. They're trying to show people that this is a fun, safe line of work that provides entertainment and happiness to millions of people all around the world. And I think that was a really good idea, given the circumstances of what's been going on in wrestling for the past 15 or 20 years and all of the really bad shit that's been going on. This was a move that simply for business reasons and the survival of the wrestling industry, it needed to be made. And these fucktard smarks that get so pissed off and they worry so much about what they think they need to see. Which wrestlers are pushed, how much blood you use, what you do, this and that, yada, yada, yada. They know better than everybody else, when all you have to do is look at the history of the business and look at what's been going on for the past few years. It does not take a genius to figure out why the business has changed and why it looks like it does today compared to yesterday. Not one of you listening to me right now has been watching wrestling longer than me. I'm almost positive of that. And if an old schooler like myself can accept, how different things are. I didn't say I liked it. I miss the old days. I wish things were the way they were in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but they're not. You have to let go. The wrestling business, and particularly the WWE, has evolved in something that never in my wildest dreams as a young kid I could imagine it would look like this today. The glory days of wrestling are over. Believing it's real are over. This is a completely different business now, and I think we all need to accept and move on with the evolution and stop trying to cling to the past, which is what it seems like a lot of TNA fans are trying to do. Well, I watched TNA Impact, and let's talk a little bit about it. Now, the show opens with a recap of last week. Now, I guess Tito Ortiz and Rampage Jackson are involved in TNA. I did know that, and they show a cage match last week with champion Chris Sabin against challenger Bully Ray. They tease all night long that Tito Ortiz is going to be in the corner of the main event Mafia, I guess. And then he ends up turning on them, joining Aces and Eights, and helping Bully Ray regain the TNA title. And tonight, Bully Ray is going to have his championship celebration, and he's going to call out Brooke Hogan, who I thought was released from TNA. First segment I see seems to be a new faction involving Christopher Daniels, Kazarian, and Robert Roode. I have no clue what's going on storyline-wise in TNA. I don't even know if these guys are fucking heels or faces. I'm guessing they're heels, but I don't even know why they're even together or what the purpose for it is or what the name of their fucking faction is. Roode seems to be the leader. He's out there cutting a promo. I would just love it. Watching TNA, this episode of TNA, really made me think about a couple of the WWE dream matches I would like to see. I would love to see an on-the-mic interaction between, Robert Roode and CM Punk or something like that, or a feud. That would be great. But anyway, they're in the ring cutting a promo. They would like to add Austin Aries to the group, and they start trying to recruit him on the mic. And this is what I'm talking about, TNA's lack of creativity. This, again, is something, a scenario, a storyline, a spot that's been done I don't know how many times. You can tell by the little subtleties on the mic where this is going to end. I have not even been watching TNA in years. I barely even laid my eyes on it, and the only time I do is usually by accident. But as soon as Bobby Roode said, "You can trust me, you can trust these guys," I said, okay, there's going to be some situation where Austin's going to come out and he's going to tease joining the group and then he's going to turn on him, probably next week. Little did I know it would happen 2 matches later. So they're out there cutting a promo, talking about all kinds of things from Bubba Ray Dudley to the Bound for Glory series. Here's another thing I know nothing about. So there's some sort of point system series now. I do think Bound for Glory is actually in my town in San Diego here in a couple of months. Will I go? Fuck no, I won't go. But anyway, they're doing a series of matches, it looks like, leading up to this pay-per-view to where it's done on points, and then maybe the guy with the most points gets a title shot or something like that. I don't completely hate that idea. That doesn't sound too stupid to me. They're kind of making it like, fucking like NASCAR has a point system and shit like that. Maybe they're making it to where, there's actually something to compete for, and every wrestler on the roster has an opportunity to get a title shot if he gets enough fucking points. So, it's not a bad idea. It's not something that's going to, turn the tables on WWE and give them ratings out the ass, but I definitely don't think it's a bad idea, and I don't completely hate it. I don't know how many years they've been doing it, but I'm certainly not going to criticize a wrestling company for attempting to do something different. I remember years ago, AWA, it was actually on ESPN back then, they tried to do something similar to where there's like a point system in this like long tournament, and I know there's been the Crockett Cups and things like that, but this point system, I haven't seen this too many times. So if it's working, great for them. If not, they need to drop it. James Storm and Gunner interrupt these guys and hit the ring, and they have a promo together. These guys are tag team champions. I don't even know if I've laid my eyes on Gunner before. This was the first guy of the night that I did not recognize. But the little in-ring spat that they have actually leads to a match with Robert Roode and Kazarian taking on, James Storm and Gunner. And Earl Hebner is the referee. Wow, I completely forgot about Earl. And I saw them talking about how Impact was in Norfolk, Virginia. That's actually very, very close to Earl Hebner's store. I've actually been there in Virginia, and I've met him and Dave countless times. It's always good to see Earl. Still out there refereeing and a senior official for yet another wrestling promotion. Earl Hebner is one referee that deserves to be in the Hall of Fame one day. Now, all these wrestlers seemed really good, and the match was okay, but I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, match number 1, what am I seeing in this match that is better than what the WWE's doing in any of their tag team matches with a similar situation like this? An impromptu tag match after a promo, been done to death, not creative at all, and the match, honestly, really wasn't any better. I mean, those guys are all great wrestlers. Daniels, Kazarian, Roode, they're fantastic, but I really saw nothing about the quality of the in-ring work that I would say that was 10 times better than WWE. That was 10 times better than a Divas match, but a tag team match with similar wrestlers in the WWE in a similar situation, I think they're capable of having just as good a match as the guys on TNA did. But Roode and Kazarian ended up getting the win, and good for them. And one thing I noticed about this match, by the way, and it was something that I noticed all the way through TNA's broadcast, and it really speaks to me of how bad of a problem this really is in pro wrestling now, is that all I saw really through the whole match, and I saw it 3 or 4 times in this tag team match alone, is that every wrestler does every other wrestler's finishing move now. I mean, in the tag match alone, I saw the super kick, which I think James Storms calls the last call. I saw Mr. Perfect's neck breaker. I saw the code breaker. And I think 1 or 2 other moves, too. And I saw a few later on in some other matches, especially in the X Division match and shit like that. And I'm like, this is just something that just didn't go on in the 80s and 90s. If you're trying to get your move over and somebody else across the country is using the move, you fucking call that guy and tell him to stop using the fucking move. Now one guy is using 5 wrestlers' finishing moves all in the same fucking match. It's just ridiculous. The business has changed all the way down to the in-ring work. Now we also had a whole bunch of backstage vignettes sprinkled out throughout this show. Now this is another thing that I'm not going to rip TNA apart about, because I actually like... I'm not finding them compelling or great, or it's not something that's going to make me watch the show, but I much almost prefer, or at least admire, the different camera angle and the camera setting that you have when you do a backstage promo. TNA is almost making it look like these cameras are kind of hiding around the corner, capturing a private conversation, and they're trying to make it look like these wrestlers are actually having conversations, unlike the overly scripted, overly produced, stupid, dumbass backstage vignettes that the WWE always does. So TNA is trying to bring a little bit more of an element of reality to it, and I think that that's a fine decision. That's not something that I think they're stupid for. That's actually a good idea, because the WWE's backstage stuff, I hate it the way they try to make it look backstage in WWE, that the camera just happens to be there during a conversation, because it's so obvious, it's so heavily lit, and they got this perfect little backdrop. You know, with TNA, it's a little darker, it's a little grittier. You know, sometimes the wrestlers, I think Bubba and Tito Ortiz were standing right in front of a gray brick wall. The next match I saw was an absolutely beautiful 5-star display of choreographed acrobatics. We had an X Division match. Sonjay Dutt, who I've seen before, against Manic, who I've never seen before. Is he related to Suicide or something? Like, they seem like the same guy to me. But these X Division matches, I gotta tell you, they're extremely athletic, but I get so mad when I hear people think that this is what real wrestling is. This is not real wrestling. This is fucking, look at what they're doing. This is another match that I saw 5 or 6 finishing moves of other big stars in the business. I actually think that the Cruiserweight division in the 1990s was better than the X division now, because the X division now, you're trying to outdo, the 10, 15, 20 plus years that we've had of Cruiserweights and being able to see that type of wrestling. And they're trying to be so creative, and TNA has done some crazy shit with the X division in the past, where they hang the ring ropes above the ring and have the belt suspended from that, and they're climbing the ropes and flipping, and they have, dome cage matches with roofs on them, and wrestlers are climbing all on that, like spider monkeys and little Spider-Men and shit. So, I mean, it's fucking crazy what they're doing. It is highly entertaining, and these guys are highly athletic and skilled. But it absolutely brings my piss to a boil when I hear people say that John Cena can't fucking wrestle when we're talking about fake fighting here. Look at this ridiculous Cruiserweight match. When were you ever in a fight and you gave somebody a shooting star press? John Cena is every bit of a wrestler as Sonjay Dutt, because at the end of the day, no matter which way you slice it, they're fake fighting. Some guys fake fight better than others. I agree with you there. But don't tell me that there's nothing believable about John Cena in the ring when I watch an X Division match and I see 360-degree backflips and fucking cartwheels and shit. But any fucking way, the match was good, it was fast, it was exciting, and Manic won. Street fight time. This is the next match I see. Now, they claim that the winner of this is going to get some points in the Bound for Glory series. Again, I have no idea what that fucking is, but I'll be happy for anybody who gets the points. The participants, Hernandez, who I have seen before, that is a big boy. Jesus Christ. And you also have Daniels, and what the fuck happened to him? I mean, this is Christopher Daniels, right? This is the fallen angel Christopher Daniels. Has he always been like this? Mr. Gyrating, fucking prancy little cocky fucker? He's fucking 40 years old. He looks like an idiot out there acting like that. Another participant in the match is person number 2 that I don't recognize on this show. Some guy named Bradley. I have no idea who he is. If he's good, you guys can fill me in. Looks like a good enough kid, and put on a decent display in the match, I suppose. And what the fuck is up? And who the fuck is Joseph Parks? I'm sorry, I don't watch TNA. I said to myself, who is this fat fucker in the jogging suit? And he wins? So I had to do some research on this. Oh, it's Abyss. Okay, I was watching this match like, what the fuck am I looking at? I did not even know that was him. I wouldn't have even guessed. I mean, it was definitely a big guy, but I would not have put that together. So the very little bit that I have read on this, correct me if I'm wrong, Joseph Parks is Abyss, and he's playing the long-lost brother of Abyss. Is that right? And I guess Abyss's long-lost brother is a completely uncoordinated fucking idiot. Somebody who goes into a Eugene-like state of rage if he's provoked, and he wound up going nuts in the fucking match and won the fucking thing. So as I'm watching this, I'm not aware that this guy is Abyss, and I'm almost getting mad. Like, what the fuck is TNA doing? And I gotta say this for Abyss, that's an unbelievable character change there, and he's pulling it off. I had no idea that that was Abyss. For him to go from one extreme to the next and play 2 completely different characters. Have they done any battle royals? I can almost just imagine TNA doing this. Have they done anything similar to when Mick Foley came out as Cactus Jack, Dude Love, and Mankind in the Royal Rumble? Or, he had them all 3 of them on the Titantron in that promo years ago on Raw or something like that. Seems to me like Abyss and Joseph Parks would make an appearance in the same show. I have no doubt, knowing TNA, that they've probably already done that. But anyway, man, that fucking Joseph Parks was something I was not expecting to see. Bully Ray promo time. He comes out there with his newly won TNA heavyweight title that he won the week before, and he's coming out there to celebrate and to talk up the aces and eights, and he's going to possibly call out Brooke Hogan, who he's been involved in a storyline with throughout this year, if I'm not mistaken. Then they get married or going to get married or something like that. Bully Ray, by the way, looks fantastic. I don't know what the wrestling community thinks of him. I don't know if everybody hates him these days or what the deal with Bully Ray is, but I got to say, I have no problem whatsoever with him being TNA champion. I don't know what the fans think, if they consider him a joke or if they're up his ass for whatever fucking stupid reason they come up with. But Bully Ray is in amazing shape. He was just such a fat fucker back in his Dudley Boys days, and now he's older, he looks good, he's believable, and he's fantastic on the mic, always has been. He has the ability to generate an amazing amount of heat. He's been able to do that ever since his ECW days as a member of the Dudley Boys, when he would just fuck with the fans in the front row. And I can't believe he was never shot or stabbed or something by crazy fucking fans, because he's been an asshole before. His last several years in TNA, I don't know. I know he's been tag teaming, face, heel. I don't even know what his story is, but this Bully Ray gimmick is the leader, is the president of Aces and Eights. The Aces and Eights gimmick and faction I don't find interesting at all. But regardless of whether or not I can find an angle interesting, I can still judge somebody's individual work, because you can't help what somebody writes for you. When I watch Bully Ray, I don't give a fuck what he's saying. I'm listening to him and I'm watching him and saying he is a believable person. He seems like a legitimately fearless heel leader champion. And on the flip side of that, when the tables are turned on him, he always sells it wonderfully. So if you ask me, Bubba Ray's a fucking professional. He's always been, really knowledgeable wrestler. He's probably somebody that you would want, sitting in on creative meetings or giving input or something like that. He's been in the business for a long time. But watching him on TV, I really liked him. He's got like the Larry the Cable Guy ring attire, but with a New York attitude. And it was like, it's good. And his fucking guns, look at him working out. Look at his fucking arms, look great. He used to just be a fat tub of shit, and now the guy's actually in a little bit of shape. So if you ask me, in the state of TNA, Bully Ray's just as good a champion as anybody else would be there. But even though I'm not a huge fan of the Aces and Eights, and I think the whole thing is fucking stupid, I really enjoy the work that Bubba Ray does. Bully Ray also starts teasing that he loves Brooke and he still loves her and he wants to call her out. And I've even seen on the internet that they fucking released Brooke Hogan. Who gives a shit? I kind of forgot what she was even doing over there. So she was involved in that whole wedding situation, which looks familiar, right? Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, Triple H. It's just like, where's TNA's creativity here? Now they're going to do a wrestling wedding. How many of these fucking things have we seen? How many wrestling weddings have we had on Raw since 2002? I'd say 5 or 6. There's been a lot. So now TNA is trying to do the exact same thing. Where's the creativity? Where's the innovation? Where is the alternative wrestling that we want to see? Where is it? WWE haters are salivating for it. They want it. TNA is so much greater. Really? It is? It looks like the exact same fucking shit to me. I don't know what fucking TV show you're watching, but when I watch shit like this, and I watch something on the WWE, it doesn't take me more than 2 seconds to decide which one I'm going to fucking watch. Fuck TNA. They're not doing anything that would ever draw my attention away from WWE, because they're not doing what they're doing good enough. Plain and simple. Bully Ray's out there overly teasing up that he's going to call out Brooke Hogan and he still loves her and she's supposed to be released, so the fans are like, oh, what the fuck is she coming out? Her music hits. And it's a different Brooke. It's Brooke Tessmacher, and she comes out there and starts shaking her ass, and she is something. My God. So now she is his new girl, and they make out in the ring and all that, and I think that segment was over. Next up was a knockouts match. Skipped it. Let's go on to the main event. This is a Main Event Mafia 4-on-5 match against the Aces and Eights, and the loser of the fall must leave TNA. Main Event Mafia is a man short. Now, Main Event Mafia, I'm laughing at him. It's Samoa Joe. It's 76-year-old Sting. Rampage Jackson, who I don't even know has been in the ring before, maybe once or twice. And somebody else. Oh yeah, the big British fucker. I don't even know who he is. I mean, wasn't Kevin Nash and all these other big stars in Main Event Mafia back in the day? This seems like it's a really lame little group, and there's only fucking 4 of them. I thought they used to come out there dressed in suits and shit like that. They all look like crap. So they got to go into this match 4-on-5, and they're already at a disadvantage. So all the participants are out there, and all of a sudden AJ Styles' music hits. He comes out there in some little getup, must be his new gimmick, and he rips off his robe, and the crowd and the commentators start going ape shit that it's back to the old AJ Styles. It's the phenomenal AJ Styles. So obviously he has not been the phenomenal AJ Styles in a while. I don't even know what he's been doing. He's back in the old trunks and he's doing his thing and he gets in the ring and he actually helps the Main Event Mafia beat the Aces and Eights by pinning Devon. Now, does that mean Devon's out of TNA? Is he really gone? Maybe there's a contract issue there. And I also read there's a contract issue with AJ Styles and he just came out there and won a big match on a main event of Impact. Now, I'm not even going to try to speculate what's going on behind the scenes in TNA because not only do I not know, I do not care. Is Devon really gone? Great. Go home, rest up, buddy. You've had a hell of a career. AJ Styles, is he leaving TNA, coming to the WWE? Maybe. I'm sure AJ Styles will make a great competitor on NXT. Okay, I'm only kidding about that, but if they bring Daniel Bryan in and that's where he starts out, you got to wonder where they're going to put a guy like AJ Styles. But anyway, all of that remains to be seen. One more point on Impact here. According to my count, I might have missed something. I did fast forward a little bit, but I did watch most of Impact. I'm only counting 5 matches here. That's all. And one of them was a fucking knockouts match. So how much more wrestling is TNA doing than WWE? I know they're only a 2-hour show, not a 3-hour show, but these are TV matches. And there was a lot of bullshit going on. The TNA is just as guilty as the WWE is of putting so much hype and so many video packages and so much backstage vignettes and so much hyping of the next show or next pay-per-view or next situation or whatever. You know, they had the piece on Jeff Hardy and they had all this other stuff. That's exactly what the WWE does. It's wasting time. There are times and places to fill fans in on the direction of storylines. I know that, but it just seems like there's almost too much, and there's too much in both companies. And for a wrestling company and the fans of that company to call out another wrestling company for not having enough wrestling, and they're watching this because it's so much better wrestling. Well, I only saw 4 fucking matches involving men, and 3 of them were multi-man matches. Only one of them was a one-on-one match, and the other one was a knockouts match. So how much better is this? Why is this so much better? Explain to me, please. Now, I know TNA has probably seen better days. This probably wasn't the best Impact that's ever been aired, and I know their pay-per-views always come through because I like, 90% of the wrestlers on that roster. Every fucking one of them are capable of oohing and ahhing us as wrestling fans. That's fine, but what I'm seeing, I'm not seeing what the TNA fans always seem to preach, is that TNA is real wrestling. It's more for men, and it's better in-ring work, and it's just better stuff than the WWE. I didn't see that. I saw the exact same shit that I see on WWE. I just saw it on a smaller level with the occasional Budweiser in the ring and a few sluttier women. Big deal. What I learned tonight from watching Impact is that I'm not missing anything. I thought I was. I should watch more TNA. I should be more educated on their product. Nope, I don't need to be. All I need to do is watch one Impact per year. A year from now, I'll review another one, and we'll compare it to this one, and we'll see how much has changed in a year. So, 3rd week in August, 2014, Impact, if it's even on TV still, if it's even on the same night, same time slot, same network, who the fuck knows, whatever TNA is airing, 1 year from today, I will review it, and we will compare and contrast. And my final thought, I just want to reiterate that I hope nobody took this really the wrong way. Yes, I have my problems with TNA, and I really have my problems with their fans, but all in all, I'm not rooting for this company's failure. I don't want anybody to think that. It makes no sense for me as a fan to root for TNA to go out of business or something like that. I don't want that to happen. You know why? Because a lot of people will lose their fucking jobs. And the wrestling fans will really suffer for it. I mean, I don't think TNA is really all that much to look at, but at least there's something. There is another wrestling company out there. They are another form of wrestling that you can watch. Albeit a bad form, an uncreative form, and a miniature form of the big one we're already watching, but they're still a different form. And if you want to watch something different, at least they're there for that. So I don't want TNA to struggle. I don't want them to go down in flames. I don't want them to have to sell the company or go out of business or fold or anything like that. I'd like them to stay alive and stay moderately successful for as long as possible because it gives everybody a paycheck. 3.5 years ago, I started these commentaries by just ripping TNA a new one. I would trash Hulk Hogan, trash Dixie Carter, trash Vince Russo, trash everything about TNA. Now, I'm not going to do that. What the hell do I have against TNA? Nothing. The only problems I have are with Hulk Hogan. I don't think he needs to be anywhere near a wrestling business in his age, his stage of his career, and the mess he's made of his life. He needs to get as far away from the business as possible. And I also hate the TNA fans. Not all the fans, just the fans that are so vocal about how bad the WWE is and how great TNA is. Well, I watched your fucking show. I watched it straight through, and I saw nothing that would ever deter my interest from WWE over to TNA. TNA is not doing anything that I'm looking at that and saying, wow, that's something I cannot get on WWE. And the few things that TNA does have that you can't get on WWE aren't even interesting to begin with. So if you ask me, you know, the company is fine, but all this hype, oh, TNA is a million times better than WWE. WWE is for kids. John Cena is for kids and Fruity Pebbles and fags. You know what? Fuck you. Your company sucks 100 times worse. And to TNA, I leave you with this. If you were hoping that this good mic work review of your show would gain you another viewer, and you're going to have another fan watching every one of your impacts and pay-per-views and subscribing to your websites and looking at you online and buying your merchandise, I'm sorry. You're not going to get that out of me. It's nothing personal. I appreciate the effort, but from a wrestling fan like me, you are just not going to be able to win me over. And it reminds me of a quote in one of my favorite movies, and I will leave you with this. TNA, these are the words, unfortunately, I need to break to you.
You're a very nice guy, but I just don't have any room in my life for a new friend. Okay?